Hello everyone, it's me Luthfia. Today we are going to learn about cultural and socio-political context. There are some topics that we are going to learn. The first, language and culture. The second, culture, discourse, and identity. The third, context of language learning and teaching. The fourth, globalization and language education. The fifth, institutional context. Let's start with language and culture. There are some definitions of culture. The first, big C visible. In big C visible, culture refers to the literature, art, architecture, history, and geography of the country in which a target language is spoken. Second, big C invisible. In big C invisible, culture implies the native speaker's core values, belief, social norms, assumptions, and legal foundations. The third, little c visible. In little c visible, culture includes gesture, body language, use of space, dress, food, leisure life, and daily custom. The fourth, little c invisible. In little c invisible, culture is related to popular opinions, viewpoints, preferences, or tastes. So, what is the relationship between culture and language? Agar 1994 state that culture is in language and language loaded with culture. It means that language is linked to all human life aspects in society, and understanding of the surrounding culture plays an important role in learning the language. Let's move to the second topic, culture, discourse, and identity. Do you know what is the difference between discourse and identity? So discourse is ways of combining and integrating language, action, interaction, ways of thinking, believing, valuing, and using various symbols, tools, and objects to enact a particular sort of socially recognizable identity. However, identity is a socially situated identity, the kind of person one is seeking to be and enact here and now. And what is the relationship among culture, discourse, and identity? So the connection between language and discourse means that one cannot study the language in depth without also studying discourse. Studying this area in turn requires an understanding of cultural context. Culture influences our belief about what is true and false, our attitude including our likes and dislikes, our value regarding what is right and wrong, and our behavior. It is from these culture It is from these cultural influences that our identities are formed. Let's move to the third topic, context of language learning and teaching. In learning the foreign language, we should know what is the difference between second language learning and foreign language learning. The second language learning are those in which the classroom target language is readily available beyond the classroom, while foreign language learning are those in which students learn a language of other countries and do not have ready-made context for communication beyond their classroom. And here are some tips in teaching second language students or second language learning. First, give homework that involve a specific speaking task. For example, listening to a radio or TV program, reading a newspaper article, or writing an email. The second, encourage students to seek out opportunities for using the language. The third, encourage students to seek corrective feedback from others. The fourth, have students keep a log or diary of their extra class learning. The fifth, plan and carry out field trips. For example, the teacher can ask the student to go to the museum or an adjacent city. The sixth, arrange a social mixer with native English speaker. Seventh, invite speakers into your classroom. In teaching foreign language, there are some tips also. The first, use class time for optimal authentic language input and interaction. The second, don't waste class time on work that can be done as homework. The third, help students to see genuine uses for the L2 in their own life. The fourth, provide extra class in learning opportunities such as suggesting an L2 speaking movie or TV show, using the L2 on social media such as Facebook or Twitter, and etc. Let's move to the next topic, globalization and language education. English in a globalizing world. There are two issues have emerged for English teachers to contemplate. First, most English language teachers across the globe are non-native English speakers, which means that the norm is not monolingualism but rather multilingualism. English is not frequently learned as a tool for understanding and teaching American or British cultural values. Instead, English has become a tool for international communication in transportation, commerce, banking, and etc. English as international language. In this context, English becomes a lingua franca, which is the common language of choices among speakers who come from different lingua cultural backgrounds. NESTS and NNESTS. Native English speaker teachers and non-native English speaker teachers. We have learned some important lessons from all the recent research on multi-competent language users. First, as we now recognize worldwide varieties of English, the monolingual native speaker ideal of yesteryear no longer holds. Second, in those few is in this in those few situations that call for native speakers model, we have an ample supply of those models through internet, TV, and other spoken or written media all readily accessible worldwide. Finally, the most importantly, native English speaker teachers are clearly and unequivocally not better teachers than non-native English speaker teachers by virtue of their native language background. The most important qualification for a teaching position is training and experience in teaching language. There are some advantages of the non-native speakers. First, serving as role model of successful L2 users. Second, familiarity with what it is like to learn the target language as an L2 and be more empathetic with students about their needs and challenges. The third, knowing their students' culture and L1 so they have high level of awareness about cross-linguistic differences and cultural differences. The fourth, providing efficient explanation about target forms, meaningful and uses. The fifth, ability to simplify a target language for more comprehensible input. The sixth, understanding the role of target language and evaluate teaching approaches and materials for local suitability. Intercultural competence. According to BRAM 2000, interculturally competent persons are able to perceive cultures in relationship both within and outside a society and are able to interpret each culture in the perspective of the other. Let's move to the last topic, institutional context. There are some tips in teaching elementary schools. First is submersion. Submersion is a method of language learning in which the learner studies the target language in a formal setting such as taking classes or using textbook. The second is immersion. Immersion is a method of language learning in which the learner is exposed to the target language through everyday life experiences. So third, English. Self-taught instruction or self-taught English is a teaching style founded on the concept of providing meaningful instruction of the content area, such as social studies, math, and science for English language learners as they work towards fluency in English. The fourth is transitional. Transitional programs teach subject matter content in the native language combined with an NSL component. The next, maintenance. Here, the student continue throughout their school years to learn at least a portion of their subject matter in the native language. Enrichment bilingual program. Students take selected subject matter course in a foreign language while the bulk of their education is carried on in their native language and enrich themselves by broadening their cultural and linguistic horizons. Now, there are some tips of teaching adult learners. First, family literacy. Family literacy programs are designed to teach students whose native language reading or writing skills are either non-existent or very poor. PESL, vocational ESL courses may be offered in technical school or trade school institutions exclusively dedicated to teaching various art and trades ranging from art, fashion design, architecture to carpentry, automotive, mechanic, and masonry. The third, workplace ESL. There are courses specifically devoted to teaching language needed for designated professional or occupational purposes. For example, programs around the world are offered for the hotel workers, grocery store workers, computer industry employees, and employees in multinational corporations that use English for international communication. Civic education. Civic education programs help immigrants to prepare citizenship exams and encourage them to vote and participate in their communities as citizens. Now we will move to the higher education. There are some types of English learning in higher education. The first, intensive English program. Intensive English programs are pre-academic programs designed for students, usually from non-English speaking countries, who anticipate entering a regular course of study in an English speaking college or university. The second is EAP, English for academic purposes. It is a term that is broadly applied to any course, module, or workshop in which the students are taught to deal with academically related language and subject matter. The third is ESP, English for specific purposes. ESP are specifically devoted to professional field and study. That's all about today's material. If you have any question or comment, you can write it in the comment section below. See you in the next video. Goodbye.